Hari Om and Namo Narayan. My name is Swami Manamurti. Today I'd like to talk about the astral body and astral traveling. And before I get into my own introduction, and it'll be a bit of a long talk, talking about the introduction and my experiences in the astral body and astral traveling, I'd like to start with some information, just to share some information throughout the talk. I'll be sharing a few screens and reading off one and sharing one and a few other documents and a couple of photos. But this talk's going to be a little bit different because it's going to be based mainly on my experience. But although there's a lot of old texts out there on astral body and causal body and astral traveling and so forth, and by this one here on the astral body and the other one on the causal body by Arthur E. Powell. They're about 100 years old, those texts, from the Theosophical Publishing House, Annie Besant's organisation. But I'm not going to talk on anything from those texts. I'm going to share some information and talk about my own experiences and what I sort of bits and pieces of what I know, and try to cover a lot of ground in this talk. But before I get going on the first part of my own introduction, I just want to speak a little bit about what Swami Satchidananda has said, my guru, Swami Satchidananda Saraswati, founder of the Bihar School of Yoga. A couple of little quotes that he has said from the 1970s. He did a series of talks, satsangs on the chakras, and in those discussions he covered a lot of ground, which was very comprehensive and really amazing. They were audio recordings, and I've typed everything out word for word. So the talks are called the Reflections on the Chakras, and in Agnya Chakra, that's the first chakra that the talks start on, Agnya. There's something I want to just go through a couple of quotes. And this is from my guru, Swami Satchidananda. According to the Tantra Shastra, according to the philosophy of Shaiva metaphysics, the linga is the symbol of the astral body. So the linga that we're talking about, see there? Shiva linga. So the linga is a symbol of the astral body. And by awakening Agnya, Swami Satchidananda's system of the chakras, the sadhana for awakening the chakras always starts at Agnya. Then it moves to Muladhara and through the chakras up to Saraswara, right, where they're all connected. So the powers, I'm just moving into the bit I wanted to cover here. The powers and potentialities of this particular gland, so Swamiji's talking about the pineal gland, manifests in two different directions. One, communication with your inner self, and two, communication with your external world. It is something like the central exchange from where you can have contact with your inner self, with your astral body, and with your guru. As well as communicating with your internal guru, you can have communication with other people in the form of telepathy, clairvoyance, and other extrasensory powers. So they're the powers or cities that come through awakening of Agnya Chakra. So another thing I wanted to discuss here while we're here, and you see my t-shirt, the serpent wrapped around the linga. So serpent in Kundalini, or Kundalini Yoga, or Tantra Shastra, The serpent is the symbol of time. In Hindu mythology, in the Samkhya system, the snake represents the eternity of the concept of time. In Hindu mythology, Vishnu is seen reclining on the many-hooded serpent in paradise, that is, concept of time. Therefore, another name for the serpent in Sanskrit is also Mahakala, which means the great time. When Kundalini is lying, the Kundalini is lying in the womb of the unconscious mind. It is beyond time and beyond space. When manifested, it is subject to time and space, and that is the act of awakening of the serpent. So that's all I wanted to read in that quote from Swami Satchidananda. Now I'll start with my introduction, and I'm going to share a few documents. Oops. And one second. What's happened here? Uh-oh. So I'm just sharing a couple of documents, so I do apologize for that. So this is a document that I've started with. Just had a technical glitch there. So I do apologize about that, but we are going live. Right. So I'm starting this with what I'm going to start with is actually take this document off briefly. I wanted to share another document. There we go. Share screen. Another document. Okay, so this is a story of when I only found this out a few years ago off my mother, maybe 10 years ago. When I was a little boy, I had you might call a near-death experience. I nearly, so you can see a photo of a big waterfall there. It's called Fitzroy Falls down the south coast. Mum and Dad and some of the relatives visited Fitzroy Falls, and I was actually a little boy, probably 2 and a bit, in nappies, still in nappies. And I walked over towards this beautiful, all I could see is this beautiful valley. I can't remember it, but I walked over towards the valley, and Mum said I went underneath the barrier fence. I went straight under it and straight over to the edge of this sheer drop, 80 metres down into the valley below. And Mum was horrified. She ran over and she grabbed me by the nappy and pulled me back. You know, otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you now. I would have been finished 60-something years ago, 64 years ago. So that's all I wanted to say about that experience. But, you know, I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Like just thinking how beautiful it was, or could I fly, or whatever. But I've done a lot of flying in the last 40 years in the astral. So anyway, so I'll take that document off, share, and I want to get into this next one. I'm going to relay some information on I don't know if people are seeing this. What's going on here? I want to get this. Hang on. All right. Let's see what I've got here. Now, this document, people probably can't see it, but I want to share the whole document. So what's important in here is, in the year 2000, I wrote a document on, it's called Swara Yoga and States of Consciousness. In it, there's some, when I was doing the research for this article, there was a couple of really interesting things that came up, and I'll send anyone that wants the whole article after this, if they send me their email address to monamoti@gmail.com. In this document, which I can't get up for some reason, I can't bring it up and scroll through the document. I found a lot of correlations. So in this document, so when the REM state, the brainwaves state for sleep, REM, rapid eye movement, that state of consciousness when you're in sleep. I found some scientific correlations in this sleep lab research material that tie into Swara Yoga. And what I wanted to share about it was the REM activity is associated with dreaming. When people are awakened during REM sleep, about 90% report that they have just had a vivid dream. A healthy adult has between 4 and 6 cycles each night, with each cycle lasting about 90 minutes. The period of REM sleep, appearing about every 90 minutes, is also the same length of time that the swara, the breath flow cycle in the nostrils, also the sound of the breath, takes to change. And then the REM stage starts to function again. My theory is that the REM stage could have a correlation with the functioning of sushumna, characterized by sexual arousal and visions. As the breath becomes balanced, the electrical activity moves from over in the corpus callosum, Muladhara chakra activation, when the energy moves up to Agnya for a short period of time. So back here, there's some information. During REM sleep, this is something else I found through my research. During REM sleep, the EEG shows long sections in which the brain waves resemble the waves in stage 1 sleep. Your heart beats rapidly and you breathe quickly and irregularly. Researchers report that your genitals, sexual genitals, are likely to show arousal, with moisture and swelling in the vaginal area for females and erections in males. So that's what I wanted to say before about Swara Yoga, with the energy coming into balance between the hemispheres. Muladhara awakens and the energy shoots up into Agnya for all the visions. So that's all I wanted to say about Swara Yoga. So the next part, I'll take that off share now. So I've written down here, scientific sleep lab data, what happens, erections in males, in females vaginas moisten in REM sleep stage. My theories are that the energy is rising in the sushumna then, what is switching on in the brain at that time, and the DNA. DNA is linked to the biofield, the aura, the hologram, which is around the body. That there is the link with the astral and the subtle bodies. Major nadis intersect the three bodies. I had a vision in October 2014, before I did a webinar for the Emerging Sciences Foundation on balancing the brain and achieving a healthy Kundalini awakening. I had a vision just before that, and I'll try to share this document, see if that'll work out. Oh, it doesn't look like it's going to let me do it. So I'll just read it because I've printed it out as well. So this is a slide I had about, while I was thinking deeply about what to present in this webinar, I saw very clearly and was shown and told in a vivid, lucid astral dream what to present in the following 3 slides. This is how the unconscious mind works, by pure intuition. I saw in my astral dream a face consisting only of the nose and the nostrils and 2 eyes. Each nostril, it had a line drawn in it that crosses up above the face, where another 3 bodies up above, 3 bodies were above the nostrils, were lying horizontally above the face, one above the other. The line from the right nostril, Pingala Nadi, went above to the left side of the head of the first body that I saw floating above. And I was shown that this was the physical body, the gross body of the Stula Sharira. The line from the left nostril, the Ida Nadi, went above the right side of the head to the second body, and I was shown this is the astral body, the subtle body of the Sukshma Sharira. Then I was shown a short horizontal line between the two nostrils, and then in the center of these two nostrils, a vertical line went up above the other two bodies to another body, which I was told was the causal body, and inside the sheath of the Anandamaya Kosha. It is known as the Karana Sharira. The nadis permeate all three bodies. Just the information on the kosha, Panchakosha theory. The koshas means what surrounds the soul, the jiva. That's a concept or just an understanding. The Annamaya Kosha is a physical body, food-dependent body. Pranamaya Kosha, the physical body, the bioplasmic energy. Manamaya Kosha, the astral body, subconscious mind. Vijnanamaya Kosha, the astral body, unconscious mind, psychic body. And Endamaya Kosha, causal body, bliss, superconscious mind. So the jiva, the individual soul, which inhabits and animates these three bodies, at death departs with the astral body and the causal body, which contains the balance of your remaining karmas. So I wanted to now I'll get rid of that off there. So I just want to get back here and get quickly through. Kundalini is the fuel. The spiritual evolution is the journey through the chakras. As long as Kundalini is awake, you have the access to the high dimensions, hopefully not lower dimensions, but it can happen if you're not careful and don't follow the rules and experiences. And I recommend reading the foreword of Dr. Hiroshi Motoyama's groundbreaking 1981 text, The Chakras Bridge to Higher Consciousness, which was written by my guru, Swami Satchidananda Saraswati, especially the section he titled the Call to Scientists section in the foreword. That's a call to the scientists. Just a little heading here. I've got Swami Rama also said, yoga doesn't need science, but science needs yoga. So that's where we're heading. So the scientists will have to understand that. The conscious mind is just the visible tip of the iceberg. Subconscious mind is connected with the astral body, master it. And the unconscious mind is related and connected to the causal body, master it. Babaji's formula or new definition of yoga, which I talked about on the 3rd of July. So it's in my videos. Y equals MT plus S. According to Kundalini Yoga, we are operating on, at the moment, everyone on this planet is at the maximum of 10% of brain potential. The other 90% of potentiality is connected with the chakras and Kundalini in the astral and causal body. So you've got to understand that the brain also has a counterpart in the astral and causal bodies, and the brain's called the Sahasrara. Sahasrara is in the astral as well as causal, and chakras have their roots in Sahasrara, and they also come down the spinal cord. So you might say that spinal cord is an extension of the brain, which it is. So recent and current scientific research by my friend on Facebook, Dr. Max Rampel, genome research scientist, suggests that there is a connection between the DNA in the physical body, which is dialoguing with the higher astral or higher dimensions. Yes, exactly. This is what's happening. So if you look into Shiva metaphysics, so this is the area to look into. So now I'm going to go into some experiences. There's lots of them. I just want to tell a bit of a story. When I was young, I had very young, I had a recurrent dream of Tibet. I'll just read this first paragraph and then I'll just explain it a bit more. I had a recurrent dream of myself on a big plateau, and very desolate plateau with cliffs, but very desolate. And I experienced myself in this dream that this I can remember very vividly because it happened for a number of years. First, I was walking, then I was taking bigger steps between strides. So bigger steps, walking, then bigger steps, longer steps, strides. Then I was springing, boing, 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 like that, like springing between steps and bouncing up off the ground. Then I was almost running. Then I was running. And then I took off flying, chest first. So that was my first astral traveling out of my body experience. When I was a kid, I was having this reoccurring dream that went on for years. I didn't know what it was. I never spoke to my mum about it or anything like that. I just thought it was fun. This happened for years and years. And then, then I started to draw. Then I started to fly in many dreams later on after I started yoga. But after that experience, when I was a little kid, it went dormant. Then in 1968, as an 11-year-old, I've said in previous videos, I started practicing yoga when my mum was going to a yoga class. I also experienced an out-of-body experience, a legitimate out-of-body experience, when I was asleep in my bed in my bedroom until my brother snuck into my room while I was asleep. And I shot up out of my body up to the ceiling, up into the corner of the room, and I'm looking down at my brothers, sneaking around. They thought I was asleep, but obviously I was out of my body, awake. And I was listening to what they were saying, and they snuck around in my room. So that was just one bit that I remember vividly from that. So I was out of my body. And then since then, in 1977, this is a bit on drugs. 1977, when I was 20 years old, I was taking some drugs. Usually I took all sorts. Actually, I took all sorts of drugs between the ages of 16 and 26. With one of my friends in this experience when I was 20, 1977, he was about 2 years younger than me. I was 20, he must have been about 18. We were sitting in my lounge room in a small flat waiting for the drugs we had just taken to kick in. Then I said impatiently to my friend, "How do you know when this drug has started?" He said, "Just concentrate on something." So I started looking at the wall in the lounge room straight in front of me, a blank wall. Then all of a sudden I saw flames starting to burn in the middle, and the flames spread around the outside as if someone had a blowtorch on a piece of newspaper or something from the middle. It's burning out to the outside. So when it got to the outside, it became like a full movie. Inside the flames, a great big circle, and inside the flames was a movie I was watching. And I thought, what is this? Next, I was watching this when I was the vision for a while. Then next I told my young friend, my young friend said, "Dave, look at the kitchen window. The devil is coming through." Then I turned to look at the window. Then I saw a hideous looking full-size demon, the devil, climbing into our kitchen. It was a full-size demon, blood red all over, and it had 2 horns and a long tail. I was shattered, so petrified and scared. Then it disappeared. Now, for 3 days after that, I think I've mentioned in other videos, 3 days after that, I couldn't utter a word. I was mute for at least 4 days. Then I started to stutter, but still no words came out. I was so scared that I would never be able to speak again. But eventually, after about 2 or 3 weeks, my speech came back. I never took another hard drug or tablet after that experience with the drug. And that was purchased without a prescription from the chemist shop. I won't mention what that was. Drugs, after that, I still smoked a little bit of dope until 1983, marijuana. Then when I was praying once in the bathtub, I was in the bath crying out for God. God answered my call and I gave up all drugs and followed yoga only, as I was already practicing yoga, but I was seriously practicing a lot of yoga, like 4 or 5 hours a day. But in 1983, when this experience happened, I got the light, and that was enough for me. So 1986, I had the experience of my guru who appeared in my bedroom. So that's 3 years later. My guru appeared in my bedroom, and he was full size from the waist up. That was Darshan, and he appeared like a hologram. Swami Satchidananda, my guru, who I hadn't met, I met him 2 years later. He appeared like a full-on hologram, life-size, and he was talking to me mind to mind, telepathically. And when he was doing that, my whole body was paralyzed. I don't know, even my eyes couldn't move an inch left or right. No, nothing. And it was just, I knew I was it was so powerful. It's just mind to mind, whatever message he was sending me. Half an hour later, Kundalini awoke, and I've spoken about that a number of times. In 1986, I actually had a series of about 5 really deep Kundalini experiences. One, I'll mention, was following a sexual experience with my wife. Obviously, we were making love. Now, I closed my eyes after relaxing, starting to go to sleep. Then I saw a white light. As I was watching this white light, I lay there perfectly still and not moving. Kundalini entered Sushumna, and my mind moved with the Sushumna at great speed. Millions of frequencies, sound vibrations, frequencies were heard as I traveled into the light. So you might have seen that picture that I've been sharing on Facebook. I'll put it back up later on. It's a really amazing. Why I love that picture is it just looked like this experience as I was going into this. Millions of frequencies and lights and colors. But I traveled into the light, and eventually there was perfect silence. So I woke up later and realized that this Kundalini experience was because of my deep Kundalini and Kriya Yoga sadhana and the sexual experience combined. Right? So it just wasn't sex. It was because of my deep sadhana, right? And it was perfect layer dissolution, you might say, into the great silence. Many other astral experiences were had in 68. Kundalini, a series of awakenings, not just one, but many. In 1988, I met Swami Satchidananda. I went to visit him. The whole visit for that month was transcendental, mind-blowing. It started at a satsang Swamiji was holding in Hindi on my first day. About 20 or 30 people were there with Swamiji, and Swamiji was answering their questions. And then I thought, what will I ask Swamiji if he asked me, do I have any questions? Then at that moment, I was thinking about a Kriya, and thought, will I ask Swamiji a question about it? Then I saw the Kriya that I had to do, and it was coloured lime green. Now, this is a vision outside my body, in between myself and Swamiji, like a hallucination or whatever you want to call it. Then I saw Swamiji turn to me and smile and then said, "Do you have any more questions?" Then I told him in July 86, when I was having a series of Kundalini awakenings, my wife, who was then pregnant, was having many visions of Ramakrishna in a in the mirror, on doorknobs, in the mirror, and I even saw a full-size luminous lady in a blaze of white light appear one day in our living room. My wife was very scared, so I wanted some guidance for her from Swamiji. So then I mentioned the name Ramakrishna. Swamiji said, "Paramahansa Ramakrishna." Then the whole group of people turned and looked at me. Then Swamiji said, "Come and see me later on in private." Then I went to see Swamiji in his room. There was no one there except us. Then Swamiji said, "Sit down here on a large meditation mat in front of Swamiji." Then I sat down and Swamiji said, "Come closer." So I did. And I was sitting about 1 meter away directly in front of Swamiji. Then he asked me to close my eyes and try to meditate. Then I closed my eyes and did exactly what Swamiji asked. Even though I was a little nervous, I tried. And after about 10 minutes, I slowly opened my eyes, only to see Swamiji still meditating. I couldn't keep my eyes off Swamiji. He was like God to me. Swamiji was like God to me in human form. After about another 5 minutes, Swamiji opened his eyes and said, quote, "I see no problems for you. You have been very fortunate. You don't have to go to Rishikesh. You can continue to practice Kriya Yoga if you wish, as it is better than not practicing sadhana at all. But for you, the most important thing to do is to just be innocent," end quote. So that was the first meeting. This amazingly was my first psychic reading from my guru. When I left Swamiji's room that first time, when he was sitting there magnificently, I walked out of the room. I actually walked out of the room constantly bowing down to Swamiji in reverse. I didn't know what power had come over me. I was so overcome by Swamiji's energy, his love and godliness and appearance. Many more one-on-one meetings occurred between me and Swamiji during that 1 month stay at BSY. When I was leaving the ashram, Swamiji gave me a small mission of his to do. There were about 10 or 20 Swamis all hovering around Swamiji, and he handed me a big pile of envelopes and told me to deliver this mail to Shankar Dev, Swami Shankar Dev in Sydney, as soon as I get to Sydney, which I did. Mission accomplished. So I was very pleased that my guru gave me a mission and he trusted me enough to do that, and I accomplished the mission. Swamiji Swamiji then became my main astral companion since 1986, and still to this day is with me astrally on many astral sojourns. Okay, so we're moving out into other experiences. I was flying and landed in a doorway. And I remember the doorway, it was hundreds of years ago in India. I got the message it was India hundreds of years ago. I don't know when or how exactly, but it was pretty old. Not in modern times, it was just a little bit back a little bit. I landed in a doorway, and at the bottom of the doorway, there was sand over the door entrance. Then strangely, a breeze blew and removed all the sand so I could see. Then I saw a gold plaque across the bottom of the door. And I looked at it, and it was written in gold across the bottom of the door, Hazrat Inayat Khan. Hazrat Inayat Khan. And I didn't know, what's his name? Who's this? Hazrat Inayat Khan. And I looked it up. He was a famous Sufi from India who took Sufism or Sufi tradition to the West. It was written in gold. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is I was flying inside a Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Tibet, and there were murals painted all around the sides, right? Around the four sides, a big monastery. And there was, what do they call them? Tankas in Nepal and Tibet, tankas, all the deities and everything. I was flying, like up around, just below the ceiling, around like this, around. It was almost like I was attached to a cord below. I couldn't go any higher, but I was up just below the ceiling, flying in my astral body. And there was also a spirit flying beside me, another spirit, a Buddhist monk, flying beside me. And that spirit called me Master Po. Master Po. Another time, there were 5 Buddhist monks that visited me from ancient Tibet, and they initiated me into a Kriya Yoga technique. While the initiation was going on, one of the monks was holding his hand on my spine. Whatever, he was giving some sort of Shakti pat or something to my spine, or giving me memory of this other lives or something. So another experience, I was flying around in the sky about 300 feet above what looked like a cathedral, and it was dark down below me. I could see the silhouette. It was darkness, but I could see clearly from the height I was. There was like a cathedral, and it had 4 spires. You know, the big spires that come up in the corners of cathedrals. And then I said in my mind, "What place is that? What place is this?" Then immediately the voice came to me and said, "This is the church of Shiva Ling." Shiva Ling. 2012, in the Astral, I was told to visit a cave at Mount Abu. That's in Rajasthan, India. This is 3 months before I went there. So after that experience, I booked my ticket. I was told to visit a cave at Mount Abu. Then I thought, who is this from? Then the message instantly came back, Dattatreya. So I went there 3 months later, and I went to the cave of Dattatreya, and I found it there. So later on, I saw Pilot Baba standing by a burial grave in the Himalayas. There was a mound of soil, just soil. You know what a grave looks like, soil. And then Pilot Baba was standing beside it in the Himalayas. Then it was Surya, the sun god, or Surya. Surya was buried there. Then I saw Surya standing beside Pilot Baba. He had the most beautiful bronze-coloured skin and long flowing hair. He smiled at me. This was the first time I saw Pilot Baba in the astral. The second one was in 2016. As I was asleep, I was living up here in Tunkari. I was asleep and Pilot Baba visited me. I had sleep paralysis. I was laying on my stomach downwards, and he came above me and put his hand on my back, and I had sleep paralysis and couldn't move. And he zapped me fully with some sort of power. It was very powerful. Next time, it was one Guru Purnima. I saw Pilot Baba walking up a path in the Himalayas. Then he turned around when he sensed that I was following him. And then he walked back down the path towards me and placed his hand on my third eye and blessed me. 2022, I was flying with Swami Satyananda underground at Kangaroo Island, which is an island off South Australia. But first I was with Swami Satyananda in a dream, astral dream. First we were looking at a map of Australia, Swamiji and myself. Then he pointed to Kangaroo Island. I've never even heard of it before. Then he pointed to Kangaroo Island. Then we both took off and we flew side by side across the ocean and then I saw an entrance to a cave, and then we went down through the cave at really ultra high speed down into the bowels of the earth. And I was flying side by side with Swamiji, you know, and I think, oh, am I going to hit the side of the rocks, you know, the big round cave, and we're flying down, you know, like an angle like this, down towards the earth, down into the earth at great speed. Anyway, that experience, I wrote about it at the time, it really blew me out. 1995, I was at BSY in Mongia. Whilst asleep, I felt a bony finger scrape down my spine. Then I saw a black charred arm, the bone of an arm from there down to there. I saw the bone, and it was black like it had been in a fire, and it had a gold plaque on the bone. Gold plaque went with it. And on the gold plaque, it was written, "This will help you, Niranjan." I don't know if it's talking Swami Niranjan because he's the guru there. He's my guru, and I was staying there for 4 months. Then I had many other astral experiences during this 4-month period at BSY. 1997, I'm going to mention another one at BSY. I was chanting, for a week, we were doing this chanting in the Jyoti Hall near Gangadharshan building. 32 names of Durga. I got lost in a vision, and I began falling downwards in between giant crystals, like giant crystals. I'm falling down, really fast, down towards the center of the earth. And I was falling down between large crystals on every side, and I continued falling down. Eventually, I stopped, and I was, you know, like I was really scared, like gravity's gone, and I'm just falling through these crystals, God knows where, down towards the center of the earth. And I saw a perfect Tibetan face, a young man, maybe in his 30s, and I knew instantly he was looking at me, straight at me, very close, like from, you know, very close, you know, 10 foot away or something like that, 6 foot away. I saw his face, and there wasn't one blemish on his face, and he was young. He looked really handsome, young Tibetan guy, about 30 to 40. And then after I saw him, I snapped back into my physical body, and I actually caught myself as I was falling forward. I thought I might go unconscious, like I'd come back to my physical body. And I noticed I still had my mala in my hand because I was doing japa of the mantras, 108 mantras, 108 rounds of the 32 names of Durga every day. Anyway, that was a really powerful experience, and it really sort of scared me for a while. And I took a few days off chanting before I had enough guts to go back and do the chanting again. And, you know, because it was almost like a near-death experience, you know, what was I was losing everything as I was falling. You know, it was a real freak-out sort of experience. Then in 1997, I was still at BSY. I was doing a Tatra Shruti course, like the Kriya Yoga course, and I did the Tatra Shruti course. And I was into this meditation about 40 minutes, and then I actually went unconscious, and I fell forwards like that, and I knocked over my Tratak stand, which is a metal stand which has got a symbol on it that I was concentrating on visually. I went unconscious, and I fell forward, hit the Tratak stand, and that went over, and then I went face first into the marble floor, and I woke up, and all these faces around me, the whole class is looking at me, you know, wondering what happened to him, you know. And then this guy, that one of the swamis, an Australian swami, came up and said, "Well, he's a real tantric, Manamurti." So anyway, that was that experience. And when that was happening, I felt a release of heat rise up the spine, into a spinning light. Before I went unconscious, I felt a release, hot release of energy coming up the spine into the spinning light, and then I lost consciousness. And I think if I was sitting a bit differently, I can't remember because it was a long meditation. I don't think I was sitting in Siddhasana. I might have been sitting in an easier half lotus or something like that. But Siddhasana, maybe I don't know if I lowered my blood pressure too far, because Siddhasana regulates the blood pressure, so they're the best postures. Siddha Asana or Siddha Yoni Asana. Anyway, you learn as you go. 2022, this is not long ago, a year ago, I saw a scintillating light as I looked into Chittakash while I was going to sleep. I kept watching it, and then after a while, as I relaxed and sort of slid into my sleep, I saw a hologram start to appear out of this blazing light. The hologram emerged and it grew up into the blazing light, and in that light appeared Swami Niranjan, my guru, appeared out of that light hologram. So what is a hologram? So this is darshan on the inside. When I saw Swami Satyananda in 86, it was darshan externally outside of me. So this is internally in Agnya. So I've had many other experiences, but I'll go through them later. So in 2012, I don't know if I've spoken about this one. This is another astral experience. I was in an astral dream. I saw my friend Aaron Sinha, who's actually, rest in peace, Aaron. He's passed away, and he was the president of the Kundalini Research Project, the Indian chapter. And Aaron was coming outside of this building. I don't know if it was 5 or 6 stories high, and he was hopping into this car, which is a sports car. And when he hopped into the car, I looked up at the top of the building, and there was actually a dragon. On the top of this building was a dragon. And I heard the dragon jump forward, and he took off. This dragon, I don't know, male, female, or if there's any sex, dragon. It took off and came down. And then as Aaron drove off, this dragon followed Aaron. And I was a bit worried. I was amazed. And I told a few friends at the time about this experience, the committee members in Kundalini Research Project. But a week later, I heard the sad news that Aaron died in a car accident. So I don't know if it's related, or this dragon was warning me, or I don't know, but this is amazing. He actually really died. And, and Aaron's, since he passed away, he's actually visited me a couple of times in the astral. And one of them is he wanted me to publish his book that he sent me. He had a manuscript that he wanted to publish, and he actually asked me in this dream to publish it. So I'll see if his widow wanted me to publish it. I'll try that. So another dream, astral, was I saw myself in another lifetime. I was with a couple of other people in this cave, near this cave at the bottom of a cliff. And on another cliff, I saw a unicorn. So you might have seen these in fairy tales or something. So this was a unicorn, a white unicorn, with a horn coming out. So it flew down from the cliff down on the plateau, and the three of us jumped into this cave a bit scared. That was amazing. And then I won't go into that a bit more. Snakes. Okay, so hundreds of dreams, astral experiences of snakes, beautiful. Doing Kriya Yoga and everything from the 80s, 81 or 86, they all started. So that's, 30 years or 40 years, lots of snakes. I've even seen, Nag Devata coming up in front of me like a cobra talking to me. Also, next bit here, Shaktis. I've got to keep moving quickly. Sorry, it's 54 minutes. I've got a lot of things I want to talk about. Shaktis. So when you're in the astral, male, you're a male. Shaktis, if you're in your psychic body, well, obviously Kundalini is awake, or your chakras, and you're in the psychic body. Shaktis, female spirits, many have visited me since the early 80s. Some still visit me, and some are sexual visitors wanting to share pleasure. Some are not sexually motivated and offer advice and introduce themselves and are divine. So I'll leave that. Sometimes I fight with malevolent spirits. Am I being trained? It seems that way to me. Sometimes the fighting is exhausting, but I seem to have inexhaustible energy there. Astral warriors. Okay, this is an article I wrote in the year 2000, like that one on Swara Yoga. I wrote one called Astral Warriors. It's in my first book that I'm going to publish soon. Astral Warriors. I wrote an article. Okay. I had a dream soon afterwards that Arnold Schwarzenegger, the movie star, Terminator, made a Hollywood movie called Astral Warriors. I mean, that'd be great for him to do something like that. So anyway, it's that was really amazing, and like I've had hundreds and thousands of these astral experiences since then. Rama. Okay, so this is another experience. I was walking up a sandstone, like stairs, but they weren't stairs. It was like inside a giant temple or a castle or something like that. It was sandstone and it was going up an incline and it was curving to your left, up like this. And I was holding the hand of a young boy. Young boy was holding my hand. I was walking with the young boy up, and at the top of the temple, it was flat like this. And as I came out of this incline, it was like a ramp, sandstone. I could feel it, the sandstone. As I was going up, I was feeling it, sandstone. As I was coming up, it all opened up in front of me and it was flat like this. And I heard the noise, and it was I could hear the noise chanting, Rama, Rama, Rama. And I walked forwards to the edge and I looked down and there's thousands of people chanting, Rama, Rama, Rama. And that was that experience. I won't go into any more details. Okay. That was really astral. And if I hear anything about Rama, like I get really emotional about all this stuff about Rama. Krishna. I heard a few things about Krishna from a spirit whilst flying in the astral. 2 times about Krishna. Shiva, once in Nepal in 98. I spoke about that. I saw Shiva with his third eye opened when I was at Kadari and a naked yogini next to him. I spoke about that in the talk. I had a talk with Max Rampel on ETs, UFOs, about a month ago, and gods. So if anyone wants to know about that Shiva experience, they can go and listen to that if they like. Kali. Once I was inside a massive cave and I saw a huge ancient carved statue of Kali, Kali, goddess Kali, and she had her legs separated, where you can see between her legs. And obviously, people were worshipping there because you could see incense and cum and, this is ancient times, hundreds, I don't know what lifetime that was, but, Kali was there. Ganesha. Twice I've seen Ganesha. Once I saw Ganesha, and Ganesha was up in the sky and he was huge, 80 feet tall. Then a voice was saying, Europe needs to pray to Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. So that was the message for Europe. Sleeping Buddha. Once I was inside a large cave and I saw a large statue of Buddha reclining. Very large. This is, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of years ago. I'm not sure, but some lifetime, or I've gone back in time, God knows. Laying on his side. Okay, 1997, I was going to see Swami Satyananda, and I was staying at the old, what's it called, the Old East, or the Grand Eastern Hotel in Calcutta. I had this amazing experience, and I saw all these faces, and it was like half animal, half human, and it kept constantly changing from different animals like this. Different animals, half, half, half. It was like evolution. The whole thing was the whole thing was evolution, and it didn't go one or two different animals. It went thousands, and it went all night long. And I was so happy to wake up. It was like a near-death experience, and something I had to see about evolution. And I was so glad to wake up out of that one. But that was a real experience that I was meant to see. Okay, lucid dreaming. Okay, so I've had some experiences of lucid dreaming. So lucid dreaming is when you're not the actor in a dream or in the astral or even astral traveling, but you become the witness. You separate yourself from what you're viewing, not just watching, but you separate yourself and you see what you're seeing as a movie screen. So you've seen a TV screen, video, pause, stop, fast forward, rewind. That's what it's like. It's called the viewing screen of life. This is where your whole life is recorded. When you're seeing this, God is sitting beside you and watches with you. Paramahansa Yogananda spoke about this. Well, I'm telling you my experience of this as well. So in this experience, here's a question for you, any of the lucid dreamers out there, do your deep instinctive or hidden desires surface then? Well, I've noticed it with me. As soon as I got that power, because when you're actually lucid dreaming, you're connecting to a power or various cities inside your subconscious mind and unconscious mind, which are full of powers. So lucid dreamers are capable astral travelers. Being capable is just the beginning of mastering your astral body and Kundalini, only the very beginning. So, this is a note for any astral travelers out there or lucid dreamers. God once, in a very astral dream vision, God once handed me a small box, like about this big, this big. God handed me a box. In it, I was told were that all the memories of my past life as an ancient Egyptian. The name has 6 letters, sorry. An ancient Egyptian. Babaji, during the 2020 channeling message, he mentioned this lifetime. God told me, now those memories are saved in your server computer inside your brain, your frontal brain. So, in my frontal brain. So I know what's saved there and what sadhana I have to do to open it. Another experience, Mum, my mother, who was my first yoga teacher, who's now 87. Mum, I was flying in the astral, flying beside a train in India, then saw my mother die in a train crash. She was, and I got all the information when I saw it. In that lifetime, she was a school teacher in India, and she was an English teacher. That was her last lifetime. I know that for a fact. And talk about past lives. I've heard that I've had 14 lifetimes in India. My last one was in Rishikesh, and I was a disciple of Swami Shivananda. And I was killed. I saw myself being killed. I was killed by 2 dacoits, they're robbers, and I died there. Maybe that's why Swami Satyananda, when I met him and he went into that trance state, samadhi, came back with all that information, he said I don't have to go to Rishikesh. Well, I've been there and I've found out more information since then. I went there in 2012, briefly on the way up to higher Himalayas. Swami Satchinanda, okay, my guru, I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of astral experiences with my guru. One of the amazing ones I saw inside Swamiji's mouth. Swamiji was in front of me. He opened his mouth like that. And inside his mouth, I saw a giant fire burning like the sun, and it was like Arjuna saw the worlds inside Krishna's mouth. Well, I saw the fire inside Swamiji's mouth, the sun. And the most recent flying experience with Swamiji, I mentioned about Kangaroo Island. Another time I saw Swamiji sitting on my shoulders. And others I've seen him sitting there with a serpent wrapped right around him, just like Shiva, and the snake is vibrating and making a noise, and the snake was moving all around him, and others where he's transmitting Kriya Yoga into me, and all sorts of things, hundreds and thousands of dreams I've had over the last 40 years with my guru. Swami Naranjan, I've also had many astral experiences, and I spoke about one there before. Once I watched closely astrally as Swami Naranjan, might mention this one, was healing an Australian Swami named Swami Satyasankalpanand. And I've heard of that name before. I've never met him, an Australian Swami, but it's like I projected into where Swamiji was, and Swamiji was healing, and I'm right beside Swamiji looking at what he is doing. He was healing Swami Satyasankalpanand. Another time, I saw very clearly and vividly Swami Naranjan, my sannyasa guru, who I respect very much, and my best friend in another lifetime in a cave in the Himalayas. And they were both disciples of a great Himalayan guru who was training both of them in the art of disappearing, dematerialization inside the cave. So that was the sadhana that the guru was teaching them. There was also another person in the cave, and the person turned into a bird in the cave, and Swami Naranjan threw a stone at the bird and hit it. I saw the scar. Next, I saw the scar on the bird's beak, on the side of its beak, the scar. Then the guru, who was a bit angry, said something prophetic to Swamiji, and then said, "You will be known as a great disciple." My best friend, there was also the other person in the previous life with Swamiji, my best friend told me that same dream was had on the same night, exactly the same as I had seen it. Another time in the astral, this might have been 2015, another time in the astral, I saw Swami Naranjan's mother, who was also a Swami, who told me that Swami Naranjan will leave BSY Mongia. So maybe at some stage, Swamiji will leave, maybe for Rikya or the Himalayas, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the message that I got from Swamiji's mother. Swami Ananda Kapila is also one of my best friends ever, and my mentor, guru, and also a guru bhai of Swami Satchinanda, right? So we're guru bhais are brother disciples. So we're both brother disciples of Swami Satchinanda, who was our guru. But Swamiji also later became my guru. And anyway, this is an experience I had, astral body, astral travel. I was in a vivid astral dream once. I entered a building. As I did, I looked down at my feet, and I was not walking. As I looked forwards, but my feet were floating in the air, parallel and like gliding towards a room, almost on little tiny clouds underneath my feet. But I wasn't walking, I was just gliding. and his wife, who I know now, I've met before, Jan, and his wife said to Swamiji, "We can't see him as he does. He is seeing and hearing us through feeling." So that was an amazing experience, that one. Okay, Pilot Baba. I've had about 5 astral dreams, astral, all sorts of things with Swami Pilot Baba. Maybe I'll talk about a couple later on about Pilot Baba. Okay, this is an important one. Kripacharya is a Chiranjeevi immortal yogi from the days of the Mahabharata. I was in the astral flying, and I was slowly coming down towards, I don't know how, I was slowly coming down. I was in the Himalayas, I was slowly coming down to a lake. It was a circular lake, and around the shoreline were a group of yogis seated on mats around the shoreline of the lake, and there was a vacant mat 2 spots up from the guru. And so I'll just read what I've written down here. Kripacharya talked to me when I landed from the sky to sit with him and his group of yogis in the Himalayas. The yogis, about 10 or 12, were sitting around the edge of a lake as I landed. I slowly floating down to a vacant mat, which was 2 spaces away from Kripacharya. He then, the great immortal yogi, introduced himself and said to me, whilst looking at me, you don't know me, I am Kripacharya. So that's my one and only experience with Kripacharya, but I must have some relationship with Kripacharya because he's from the Mahabharata, and obviously he's still around, maybe at Siddha Ashram, somewhere in the Himalayas. Okay, many experiences. I've been flying around, seeing buildings. One was, I saw a building. This was in my early training with Swami Satchinanda. I saw a building, and I was up in the air looking down. I saw a building. It was a square building, and I could see through the building, through the walls, and I knew inside was a malevolent or evil spirit inside there. So I was hovering around outside this building, going right around it like this, but I could see right through with my city or whatever it was, X-ray vision, inside where the spirit was, and it was moving around. And I started zapping it with the light coming out of my hands. And then Swamiji appeared right beside me. Instantly, he was right there beside me. And he told me to save my energy for something more important. So I stopped doing that, using my power, obviously when you're in the astral. And that was a bit of a experience there with Swamiji. Okay, I've seen many oceans, flying over oceans, almost like a jet fighter, just skimming over the ocean. And many above mountains, and I spoke about a couple of astral experiences in that UFO experience where I've seen UFOs and stuff. Many I've been flying like an eagle over clouds, and I've gone down through the clouds and seen vast mountains and valleys, underground caves. I spoke about 2 of them in that UFO talk, and that one I just spoke about with Swami Satchinanda. And listen to the ones on that UFO talk that I gave about a month ago. There's 2 experiences there in caves. They were astral, full on. And outer space, okay, I've seen other planets where Kundalini's really woke, and when I've been doing a lot of sadhana use, you've got to remember, as long as Kundalini's awake, but you're out there. And you can go as high as you want or you're meant to go. But the moment Kundalini switches off, you're back in physical. So here's one experience. I think it was last year. Light body. So I was actually watching a video earlier on in that day. I remember very clearly. I was listening to a talk, a channeler talking. I think it was called Barbara Masiniak. She's a Pleiadian channeler, and had a video also of all these lights going through the galaxies. So that night, after listening to Barbara, I was streaking across the galaxy in a white light body, and I saw many other white light beings traveling in their bodies. Also noticed and saw through the top of my head, through Sahasrara, through the top of my head, which was showing numbers or algorithms constantly changing. So I don't know if you've seen, but you can if you like, a heads-up display that these F-35 fighter pilots. Go onto YouTube, have a look, F-35 fighter pilots. You'll see that they've actually got a $500,000, $500,000 helmet. And this helmet allows them, through the visor, this allows these F-35 pilots to see when they see out, and it's fully connected to AI and everything, and through see their targeting and get all the information. And it's a heads-up display, and they can actually see through the plane, but through the side of the plane, out, and through their body, physical body, down beneath themselves, like throws through the body. So this was like up there, astral, higher astral, the Yaname Kosha, or higher causal body. So I just wanted to explain that one. I saw algorithms when I was looking out through the top of my bubble, my light body bubble, looking out through the top, Sahasrara, white light body, obviously Sahasrara was away. I'm looking out there. I could see the algorithms or the numbers or symbols constantly changing in this heads-up display. So imagine looking through a visor, like on a motorbike or something. You're looking out through a visor like that. So this is it. Digital is constantly changing. Okay, this year, 9th of September, I spoke about this when I was doing that talk on 9th of September. Shri Bindu Lahiri, one of my Kriya Yoga gurus, Lahiri Mahasay's great-grandson, he fully blessed me, placing his hands on top of my head. It was so powerful, it was shaking my whole astral body. So this talks about the astral body and astral traveling, so this is what I'm talking about. In summary, the astral and causal body and dimensions are as real, if not more real, than the experiences that you are having in your physical body. Every sense that you have in this dimension, 5 senses, in that dimension you have, and much more. But keep grounded always with this dimension, because you have to master this dimension, the time dimension, the physical body, conscious mind, and space dimension, beyond time, the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, the astral body, and the causal body, and every dimension above the physical. Yoga equals mastery of T plus S. So I've mentioned it, 3rd of July. Have a look at the video, Babaji's formula, the new definition of yoga, according to Babaji. Right, so this is Shiva metaphysics that we're talking about before, and advanced astrophysics. That's what I'm talking about here. So it's slowly starting to come out. Okay, the wish-fulfilling tree. You might have heard about the wish-fulfilling tree. It is within Sushumna. But be careful what you wish for. Here's an example. I once worked with a friend for 10 years. Every Saturday, he bet on the horse races, the racehorses, thoroughbred racehorses. And he picked out the numbers for winning the lotto. Eventually, after he left work, after many years, like I worked with him for 10 years, he actually did win the lotto twice. He won millions of dollars, purchased houses for his children, and then he died because of liver disease from alcoholism. So there's a warning about manifestation. Manifestation is a trending topic these days. Even some of the gurus are coming out talking about it. But here's just a little warning. Manifestation is a trending topic these days. As I said in the example above, desires may manifest in many ways, but it may be your downfall. So be careful what you ask for. Keep positive and open your mind to positive experiences. Is a warning. Don't sell your soul to Satan or the devil. Jesus said you can't serve two masters. It's either money or gold. Okay, so there's a couple of photos I wanted to share, but it's sort of playing up a little bit. I should have swapped screens on my monitors, but I can send that to anybody. What I wanted to finish with is actually something about Kundalini. So I mentioned Kundalini is the fuel. So the fuel for everything, chakras, Kundalini, Maha Kundalini is everything. Okay, so I want to read you this quote. And if you email me, I'll send you a photo so you can read it yourself. But I'll just read it to you before I conclude. It's nearly an hour and a half. I'll wrap this up. So I'll be going quickly, but I stuffed it up a little bit at the beginning. But there is a force which accompanies the growth of the new consciousness, and at once grows with it and helps it to become and perfect itself, Kundalini Shakti. It is here, coiled up, asleep in all the centers of our being, chakras, but it is also above us, above our head as a divine force, awake, sentient, potent, extended and wide. It is there, waiting for manifestation. And to this force we have to open ourselves. In the mind, it manifests itself as a divine mind force or a universal mind force, and it can do everything that the personal mind cannot do. It is then the yogic mind force. When it manifests and acts in the vital or the physical in the same way, it is here apparent as a yogic life force or a yogic body force. It can awake in all these forms, bursting outward and upwards, extending itself into wideness from below, or it can descend and become a definite power for things. It can pour downwards into the body, working, establishing its reign, extending into wideness from above, link the lowest in us with the highest above us, release the individual into a cosmic universality or the absoluteness and transcendence. So that quote is from Sri Aurobindo that I was given 30 years ago by Barbara White, who sent me that Kundalini mandala, who I've previously talked about. So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight. So that's a lot. I really need a drink of water after all that talking. So I covered everything, and I hope that first bit was recorded as well. So when I monked around a little bit at the beginning, there might be a 5-minute gap before I start talking again. So we'll just see how it goes. Anyway, I'll end the stream now, and it's 1 minute 25. Hari Om, and remember what I said. According to Tantra Shastra, right? What Swami Satyananda said. According to the philosophy of Shaiva metaphysics, the linga is a symbol of astral body. Astral body. And the serpent is a symbol of Mahakala, the concept of time. Okay? Namo Narayan. Namaste. Have a good day.